Thank you very much, everyone, for being here over lunchtime especially. It's nice to see some familiar faces, some President friends in the crowd, and my President friend to my right. President Pécresse is a woman who clearly believes in delivering results. And so she stepped down from the Council d'État in 2015 to focus on the Paris region. And I think it's safe to say that this year especially, no one has been able to miss Paris. The Olympics were unmissable and a wonderful example of the market adoption of the green technologies we just heard about. The Olympics had many great moments. I was very, very happy to see the Eco Cups. And it was particularly good for those of us who care about how finance, sustainability, and technology can come together. Even better, with 12 billion euros of added value, it was really good to see how finance, technology, and sustainability can come together profitably. So what I'd really like to ask is actually, now that we've seen this fantastic example of how we can use solutions to improve the experience and quality of life, I'd love to hear a little bit about how your vision for Paris has formed, how it's evolved, and how you're getting to these actions we see today.
Thank you. Well, most of you don't know me, so may I introduce myself in 2 words. I am the president of the Paris region. Paris region is 12 million inhabitants. It represents 1/3 of French GDP and 40% of French research, 80% of French startups, and 80% of French finance. So it's a huge hub. And of course, we had this privilege to host the Games, the Olympic and Paralympic Games 2024. And actually, it's been 8 years of work because the region was very committed to the success of the Games because we, of course, were the host region. And we were also in charge of transportation and of many sport venues. So why did we commit so much into the Games? We committed very much because it was an occasion to show a vision that is my vision since I was elected 9 years ago. It's a vision where Paris region is a hub for innovation and sustainability. And as you said, we can make sustainability, growth, innovation work together. And it's been working for the Games. What we did during the Games was to set a target, 100% public transport accessible Games. And this was the first time ever. And it means, of course, 0 carbon Games as far as transportation was concerned. And we opened a new metro line, but we did also a big transport demand management scheme, which allowed us to put several digital apps to guide the tourists in many languages. And if some of you have been to Paris, you've seen a different Paris, much more hospitable than before. And we made also the choice of multilingualism. I know in Singapore it's not something that you experiment. You experiment every day, multilingualism. But for us, it was really brand new, and we did this, and we were very proud of doing it. But what is most important for us is that 95% of all the things that we used during the Games, 95% was recyclable, reusable. And for example, the beds were in, I don't know how you say that, in not paper, but, you know, cardboard, thank you, and could be reused and recycled. We have the athlete village will be transformed into 2,800 affordable housing. So the swimming pool, it will be moved from the arena where it was to a popular neighborhood in order to bring swimming pools in poor suburbs, and etc. etc. And for example, the energy of the swimming pool was provided by a data center We did a network, a heat network, and we used the fatal heat of the data center to heat the water of the swimming pool, etc., etc. So we, of course, made the games a huge sandbox for innovation in sustainability. And that was great.
It was, and it really does show, though, how much time you needed, the planning to get there, the ability to have a vision on the horizon and really take your time to build these foundations. So where we are today, when you look to the future for the Paris region, what do you see on the horizon? Are there still changes you want to make?
Yes, I told you we have two pillars in our strategy, innovation and sustainability. Ecological transition, but also progress. Because I am a science enthusiast. So I believe that science is bringing new solutions to our problems. Of course, as you know, science without a conscience is not good for humanity. But science is still the answer, one of the answers. And even in human science, when you have to change the behaviors of people. So, of course, I used to be, 12 years ago, Minister for Higher Education and Research in my country. For 5 years, I was the minister that promoted the reforms of universities. And research is a key asset of Île-de-France region. And we want to be the first hub in Europe for AI, for quantum. We want to be also a hub for biotech. And, we have an extraordinary school of mathematics, for those who know, an extraordinary school for physics. We just won a Nobel Prize in physics on quantum. And so I was very proud. Monday, I was in Singapore. I was opening the first Franco-Singaporean symposium on quantum with our researchers, cutting-edge researchers, French and Singaporeans. So we really have something to do with Singapore in this field, AI, quantum, biotech. And I know these are three main subjects of interest of Singapore. So innovation, and if you talk about innovation, you talk, of course, about education. And I know that in Singapore, education is the key of success. We have more problems because our population is not, I would say, so homogeneous as the Singaporean one. We have people coming from all over the world, and we have to integrate them. So education is a key issue for Paris region. And we don't want to have only a small elite. We want to bring everybody up to fulfill their potential. And so I have put on foot a 6.6 billion euro plan, investment plan, 6.6 billion euro, which is the third biggest investment plan in France, after our plan of a super metro doubling the metro lines in Paris, and after the Olympic Games. So the third biggest investment plan is the regeneration of 500 high schools in order to have the best quality of education for high school students in Paris. So this is also a key issue for me.
And that's actually incredibly forward-thinking. If we think about the nature of education and how it plays into supporting this FinTech innovation hub you have a vision for in the future. And it's so interconnected, to use the word we saw earlier. I think at GFTN, one of the things we really understand is how difficult it is to cultivate an ecosystem, how hard it is to bring these pieces together, especially when you're trading off commercial decisions, equity, justice. When I heard you speak earlier about how important science is and the new technologies we see emerging, one of the challenges is, of course, science right now, a lot of the technologies we see coming forward are very, very consumptive of energy. And one of the things that's very difficult in a region like Paris, which has so much legacy infrastructure, so much history and culture, how do you manage this idea that you need to have so much energy to do the things that are so important for the future while you have to maintain the history of the region?
Well, it's a very good question. Before I was elected, Île-de-France didn't have an energy strategy. We were consuming a lot of energy coming from everywhere else because we didn't produce any energy of our own. And 90% of our energy, more than 90% of our energy was imported. So carbon energy and nuclear energy, but all was imported. Of course, we have an asset in France because we have a zero carbon energy, which is nuclear. And my region has got one nuclear plant just next door. So, of course, most of our energy is clean. And that's very important in order to develop all our technologies to increase our computational capacities, because we will need them for AI, and we are setting at the moment a big hub for AI in the south of Paris. We are setting a big hub for quantum as well. So this needs a lot of energy. So we have nuclear power, which provides us with a zero carbon energy. But we had also to ask ourselves, what energy can we produce as a capital city? And we found out two energies that we could use. We don't have wind, so we couldn't produce any wind. Solar is difficult, because solar, we don't have so much sun. And we can only put it on the roofs, because otherwise it's agricultural fields, but we need them to give us food. So we cannot use that. So what did we do? We used two ways of making energy. The first one is geothermy. Geothermy is using the hot water and the heat of the ground, putting it into our radiators and heating the city. We are the world capital for geothermy. Profound and geothermy in surface. 1 million people in Île-de-France are heated by geothermy. It's a huge investment, and it's completely clean, and it can also cool the air during the summer, because on the surface the water is at 15 degrees, so it can also cool the air. So we're working a lot on geothermy. And the other pillar of our 100 sustainable energy production is the using of waste, the waste management. We are transforming our wastes into gas. And we put this gas, what we call town gas, we put this gas into our buses. And we run buses, gas buses, that are fueled by our wastes. And this is how the region has started to produce its own energy and become really circular. And that was a great asset. So that's what we do. But the energy, we are trying to produce it, but we also need more nuclear. And so we have a national plan that was launched by the Président de la République, Emmanuel Macron, and which promotes the construction of 6 nuclear super reactor in France. And we hope to have one in our next to the frontier plant in Nogent-sur-Seine.
You have accidentally answered many of the questions we've received from the audience. So one of those questions was, how do you say that the transportation is 100% carbon neutral from the Olympics? And I think you've touched on that already with the nature of the energy available in Paris, but also I think the statistics are coming out from the report. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, actually, we are doing the revolution of transportation. I started it in 2015 when I arrived. We had a huge transport system, but quite old. And we didn't have any suburb-to-suburb lines. We had, the metro in Paris. And in the suburbs, we had trains going into Paris. But we didn't have any circle lines. And we needed these circle lines. We also needed to go directly to our airports. Unfortunately, we wanted to have the direct links to the airports to be to be open for the games, but unfortunately, as you know, maybe we have some communists in France. We're a big democracy, and they put us into court. They sued the project on environmental purposes, and the judge, of course, comment on peut dire, rejected the suit, but it took 1.5 years to have the suit rejected in the courts. And so we took 1.5 years of delay. So we are going to open the direct line to Roissy Airport, so international airport, in 27 instead of 24. But we still have succeeded in opening the domestic airport line to Paris, which is a game changer, of course, in terms of environment. So this doubling of the metro lines in Paris, doubling 300 kilometers of new metro lines, and these new lines direct to the airports are going to be really a game changer. It means that really, we hope to help 4 million people to take more public transportation. 95% of the population, the French population, will be directly connected to a train or metro station in 2031. So that's the plan. And of course, we have 18 lines of trams also that are going to be built. We have also buses. And I say zero carbon because our buses now are all electric or town gas. And our trams are electric, our trains and metro are all electric. We don't have any fuel. We don't buy any fuel transportation anymore. So we are zero carbon transportation. And of course, we do a lot of biking. I know in Singapore it's difficult to bike because of the weather. But in Ile-de-France, we do now a lot of biking. And we are promoting what we called the Vélo Ile-de-France. It's a huge network to follow the lines of metro with really roads for bike. It's not only a bike line, it's road for bikes. And huge road for bikes like the train roads. And this is 250 kilometers of road lines, bike lines, double bike lines, so you can double the bike. You can recharge electrical bike on the way. You have houses of bicycle where you can mend your bicycle if it's broken. So it's an ecosystem for biking, and not only in Paris downtown, but for the whole suburb. Because Paris region is 2 million people in Paris downtown, and 10 million outside Paris. So it's very important not to forget them because they make the wealth of Paris region.
Absolutely. And in our last minute or so, just to try and squeeze in one more question. The question was actually about how the ecosystem in Paris is working with overseas startups. And I know that for the Olympics and for many of the other things you've done, you've been working with overseas technologies and R&D coming into the Paris region. Could you let the audience know how they can come and work with you?
Thank you. Yes, our first work to attract people to Paris region started with the Brexit. When Brexit happened, of course, it was a terrible event because I'm very Europhile and I love also the British, and so I wanted Britain to stay within the European Union, but they chose to get out. And when they chose to get out, there remained only one global metropolis within the European Union, and it was Paris. Before there were two, Paris and London, and now there's only one within the European Union, is Paris. What is a global metropolis? A global metropolis is a political hub, it's an innovation hub, an economical hub, a financial hub, a cultural hub, and a pool of talent. This exists only now at that level, at that stage in Paris. We are still competing with London, but they're no more within the European Union. So that's why my second move, well, after Brexit, we won the war of relocalization, because, of course, lots of companies have to relocate. All the companies which wanted to be within the European Union had to relocate somewhere on the continent. And so, of course, it could be Frankfurt, it could be Luxembourg, it could be Dublin, it could be Milan, but we won the war. We won the war. We made a big team to attract all finance companies to Paris, and 6,000 jobs were relocated in Paris, most of American banks. Some of British banks opened subsidiaries, and we also had a lot of Chinese and Japanese ones. We still have a target. The target we still have is the sphere of influence of London. See who I mean. Australia, India, Singapore, and the Emirates. So that's my tour this week. My tour is taking me to these places because I really want to tell you that we are speaking English now. And we also have a special agency to welcome you. It's called the Choose Paris Region. And this special agency is helping you with the red tape, helping you with visas, helping you with the schools of your children, helping you to set your company. So we really are welcoming. We have an experience. We already relocalized all the Americans and the Chinese banks and the Japanese banks. So we have an experience. We can host you. You have to come and see Paris. I know you love Paris in Singapore. We love Singapore too. But there is still a big void, a big gap between us two. So Paris is now the gate open to the European market, but also to the African market, because there is also a lot of French-speaking countries in Africa. So come to Paris, we'll be welcoming you. And also what I do is I make AI challenges. I know a lot of you are working in FinTech. I make AI challenges all the time. The AI challenges we set a question with a big corporation in France, a question of political interest or public interest. For example, how do you measure the congestion of the trains in the public train transportation? And we take the big transport giant SNCF, French giant, and they give all their data in open data, and they give it to all the startups which want to be part of the challenge. And then at the end, there is a winner, one startup, a winner, and the winner will be embedded in the big corporation for 6 months. Try to solve the question. And the region is giving 500,000 euros to the startup that wins the contest. So Singaporean startups can participate in this contests, these AI challenges that we launch. We had another contest about the energetic mix of our big network for energy. How do you calculate the need for nuclear energy in an energy mixed with now renewable energy in the mix? We had also contests with the hospitals. How do you focus breast cancer, looking at radios with machine learning earlier?
So, President, is it fair to say then that there are many, many ways for the audience to choose Paris and to come and speak to you and the Paris Pavilion about how they can come and participate?
Absolutely, and we hope to work with Singapore FinTech, because, as I told you, and I haven't said that before, so to conclude, I would say it, we are the big financial hub now in Europe. And we are also the prime destination for foreign investment in Europe. We have, of course, bypassed London 2 years ago because of Brexit, of course. And what I want also to say, because some of you might be anxious about that, is that we have a Président de la République, a French president that is pro-business, a government that is pro-business. And you have a region that is also pro-business. So we all, drive on the same side of the road. And we all drive to the same direction. And it's welcoming you all in Paris whenever you can. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you for your time, and thank you for staying with us.